Today you are going to be starting a project that will take 2 class periods to complete, and we started today in one of 2 ways. You could either do your initials, and if you were going to do your initials, you would do them first lightly in stick letters, and then you would trace around your stick letters to make sort of a rounded bubble letter. So that's one way that you could start this project. And then once you trace around them, eventually we're going to get rid of the stick letter. The other way you could start this project is just we used a simple shape, we used a heart, and you could choose to use one or add a second one. You can really have up to 3, but I would not recommend any more than that. So either your initials, and you would draw them first in stick letters and then trace around them to make a nice thick bubble letter, or you could do hearts. Next, you would take a ruler, and you have rulers in your art kits. You would put something down underneath. So I have the inside of my manila folder, and I'm on, if I didn't say already, this is just regular drawing paper, nothing special. So the paper that was in your manila folder is the paper you're going to use. And you are going to use your Sharpie, so your fine, not your ultra fine, but your fine point Sharpie, which is the thicker of the two. And you're going to draw some straight lines. When you're holding the ruler, your hand is in the middle, and your lines can crisscross each other, but they will go edge to edge, and the goal is to not have it line up directly with an edge on one of your shapes. So whether you are doing, and I'm going to let these meet at a point, so whether you're doing the hearts or whether you are doing the letters, you want to make sure that you're not letting it line up directly along an edge. And I'll show you what that looks like on the other one because it's actually easier. You're always in a pull towards you with the ruler. And when you pull a line, so I'm going to pull those lines on this other one, you are always starting off the page at the top and then pulling onto the page and off at the bottom. If you don't and you try to start at the top, you'll end up with a marker bleed, or you try to start on the bottom, you'll end up with these like circly marker bleeds. So always make sure that you are pulling all the way off at the bottom and you're starting above on the top. Okay, so for this one, here's what I was talking about. I definitely do not want to have a line that would travel right down the edge of my P and overlap for an entire length. If it overlaps a little bit, like along an edge, not a big deal, but you don't want it to travel all the way down an edge of something, or it sort of makes the grid look strange when we're doing it. Okay? So you're going to draw first the lines that go across, and you're picking one or the other. You're not going to do both. So either you're doing the hearts or you're doing the letters. Either one is fine. And then you'll have some choice about how we choose color today. So some of you will want to paint. Some of you are going to want to use colored pencils. All right, so I've got the lines across. Now I need to do the lines that go the long ways. And I'm going to turn my mat because I don't want to write on my table. So you'll always have a mat when you're using a Sharpie to protect your surface. And I'm going to start here. My hand is always in the middle of the ruler to try and make sure it stays nice and straight. You can't slant the ruler as much this way. I don't like that because it's just not long enough. If you have a longer ruler, you're welcome to use it and make the lines more angled, but it has to be able to get to both sides. Okay, so here's my first one. I might add one more line here. It looks a little empty here. Okay, now, once I have drawn the lines, then I'm going to come back through and I'm going to trace just that bubbled outline of my letter. If at any point my letter, like right here, it lined up almost perfectly, I'll show you close. The end of my letter right here lines up almost perfectly with the line. So I'm going to extend it so it doesn't line up perfectly, which is why I did not trace my letters yet. And I'm not tracing the stick inside letter. That was just to help me guide where it was going. But out here, I'm just going to make sure that and right here, this lines up perfectly on that edge, right here on my G. So I'm just going to come inside of there so it's not lining up. And that's the nice part about waiting to do the outline of the letters. I'm going to extend this one down a little bit. And up here, it's close. When I look at where it's riding on this here, I'm going to go up higher so I have a little bit more space. And then I'm going to do this. Once you trace over your letters or heart and your lines, then you're going to go back in and you will erase away any pencil. So you'll erase away all that pencil. Okay, and I could do the same for my heart. I'm going to pull these vertical lines quickly. All right, now I'm going to quickly trace my heart, and I'll get rid of the pencil. Okay, so now we are going to use 3 color schemes, really. You are going to use primary and secondary. And we are going to be mixing in neutrals. So we know from learning about color that primary colors are red, blue, and yellow. And secondary colors are violet, orange, and green. And then neutrals are black, white, and gray. And I'm going to include in this silver, because you do have a silver Sharpie in your art kit. Now, at this point, you're going to choose what kinds of materials you're going to use for your colors. I'm going to use colored pencils. You could use colored pencils, you could use crayons, you could use markers, you could use your watercolor paints. I would not use your oil pastels because they will smear across this surface as you do it. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to make sure you have them paired together. I have my secondary colors and I have my primary colors. And I have a gray color pencil. The paper is white and I already have a black marker. So you're going to now choose. You can either choose to make your shapes, so whether they're your shapes like your hearts or your letters, can either be primary colors and you can mix in black, white, and gray, or you can make your background primary colors plus black, white, and gray. So you have to pick. It's either your shapes or your background. And then whatever is left. So if I do my, like here, I started to do my shapes, red, blue, and yellow. So I'm doing my letters with primary colors. So I'm going to start here. And you can put colors right next to each other like this. I'm going to put yellow right next to red. In other places, I'm going to spread it out. Here I'm going to put yellow next to blue. But I'd really encourage you to not do two of the same color next to each other. Try and mix it up some. And then I'm going to mix in black, white, and gray with those primary colors. So if you don't have a gray crayon or color pencil, or you're doing this in paint, you would use a black and then not push very hard, or you would use a you could use your silver Sharpie, or you could use a regular pencil and use that. So, and I'm going to leave some areas white. So here's my gray areas. I'm going to do a few that will be black. So I'm going to just treat each shape separately. So I'm not coloring across my shapes. Each piece is a little bit different. And I'm going to do black here. I'm probably going to do a black one here. And I might do this one. I don't like that this one is so big and open. I'm going to do this one as well in black. Okay, so now I've broken up my black, white, and gray. I don't like I have two whites here either. I'm going to do something. I might actually go back in there and put in a color, because I want to really mix it up. Okay, so, and I'm going to put a black one in up here too, because it looks like I don't have anything dark up in there. Alright, and so I'm looking. Now, how does that look? Oh, it looks okay. I'm going to tone down this too and put a gray one here. And maybe one right here. I don't like two white ones in a row. Okay, so I did the inside of my letter with primary colors, red, blue, and yellow, and then I used gray, white, and black as part of my color scheme. I would do the same thing. Excuse me, I would do the same thing, primary colors, in my G and my P. And then I would be done with my letters and I would start on my background. For your background, you would then have your secondary colors, and you could also do black, white, and gray there as well. So once I would do one part first. I would do all my primaries first, and then I would come in with my secondaries and do something similar. I'm going to break up where I don't want them all right next to each other. So I would do sort of a sporadic sprinkling of green throughout. Then I would go back with my next color so that I have my violet, orange, and green of my secondary team. And then I would go back through with black, white, and gray. So you'll choose one or the other. In this one, I did my heart in violet, orange, and green, black, gray, and white. And I started my background in the primary. So you get to choose what you would rather do. Here I don't like seeing two white together. I'm going to definitely break that up. But it's going to be up to you whether you do primaries on the inside of your shapes or in the background. And for the first day of class, my expectation is that you get about halfway done, which would mean getting your shape and your lines and probably doing like one of your color schemes. So for the first day we do this, for today, if you missed class today, do the inside of your shapes with color, and then the second class period will come in and do the background with the other. If you're using watercolor to get gray, you would just use black with a lot of water in it if you were going to do it with that. But you also could mix it up and go back in after you watercolor with, you know, a gray pencil or your silver Sharpie. And you could even do Sharpie and watercolor. You know, do black areas instead of painting them black. You could do them with the Sharpie and with a pencil to get your neutral colors. I'm going to leave that up to you to sort of experiment. So for this one, for the first day, I'm giving you a progress grade for getting halfway done. At the end of next class, you will get a grade for completion. And that is it.